Today is the 17th of November. It's 11:30. Wow, what a crazy 2 weeks after an election. Wow. These are just some thoughts. It would be an act of God himself if President Trump actually pulls off a second term. There is an actual way he can do this. It will be historic if he does. If it does happen, it is an act of God and there's no other explanation for it. Now, having said that, boy, there's a lot. I would be considered probably a radical right-wing person, at least by our media. I haven't watched television in about 4 or 5 years. I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube, and I subscribe to YouTube channels. And some other and some other things, but I don't watch TV per se. I don't watch any TV shows, and I don't know if that skews my perspective of things. Maybe it does, because I look at a lot of independent content media content. So my perspective is not one of, look, I go into people's homes every day. I see what they're watching on TV, and there are some people they have CNN on 24/7. If you're listening to CNN 24/7 and you can't discern what they're pushing all the time, there's a problem. And I would say the same thing if you were watching Fox all the time. If you can't sit there with an open mind and say, okay, I understand what they're doing, but I try to step back from that, and I look for patterns. I look for things. And I'm going to say this. I knew Donald Trump was a part of our pop culture since I can remember. I didn't really pay much attention to him. I didn't watch any shows he was in. I noticed his cameos in movies and such. No big deal. But I knew when he was going to run for president, he would win. And I'm going to tell you why I knew he was going to win. Because he was offering something completely different than we have ever had. And to say that he did not succeed is total foolishness. That guy delivered on... Now, let's say he gets 4 years as a one-term president. His history will record him as doing more in a one-term president than anybody else. Because he delivered on everything he promised. Damn near 500 miles of wall that they said he would never put up. But he managed to do it. He managed to figure out ways to do things no politicians in my lifetime ever did. And you know what? He made watching politics fun and interesting. Now here is where I'm going to go. Do you really think Joe Biden has the ability to govern the country? And this is what I have to say. Joe Biden, if he does win, won an election that the media will say was fair, but everybody that we all know that it wasn't fair. I don't care what anybody says. We all know that the system was rigged against Trump because look at how it was. They were planning his impeachment. They were trying to stop him from getting inaugurated. And they put things into place throughout his presidency to get rid of him. Who? I don't know, but it's blatantly obvious. And when they figured out they couldn't get rid of him, they did not want a second term. Joe Biden never even really campaigned. He hid most of the time. He mumbled and he babbled and he didn't even run on a platform of ideas. I mean, he's out there telling his audience, I'm going to raise your taxes. This will be the first guy ever elected who said, I'm going to raise your taxes. He is the oldest guy ever elected, if he becomes president. He's 76 now. If he makes it for 4... Look, I grew up in a household of old people. Let me tell you, by the time they're 76, it's declining, folks. It really is declining. And by the time they get to 80, 4 years of him in office, and then let's say, he gets reelected, do the math on how old that guy will be. You tell me, based on how you see him perform in front of a camera now. So this is what goes to tell me. There was a massive thing put in place to make sure that Trump didn't win. There's all kinds of fishy things, and regardless of what the media is telling you, look at it. Go and look independently. Just the math doesn't even add up. My point is simple. Joe Biden does not have the ability to govern a nation, so whoever's going to govern is going to govern through him. And our country will never, ever, ever have a fair election ever again, folks. It will never be. Because if they get away with the massive voter fraud that there's out there now, and it's there. If they get away with it, there will never be a conservative elected to the presidency ever again. And this is what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to your votes are only going to matter in your local elections, because that's the only way to keep any of them in check. That's it. And they're gaining more and more power. Look, it's really, really simple. The Democrat Party has become more leftist than it ever has been. It always will, and it's going to get worse, because you have a whole bunch of people who can't think, don't know what it's like, don't have an understanding of what a totalitarian regime really is like. We're going to have a banana republic at this point, not much different than Venezuela. But this is the good news. The good news is really this. Half of the country is sane. Half of the country are normal thinking, rational people. The other half isn't. And the other half are the ones that live in cities. You really shouldn't pay any attention to them because they're all crazy people. I mean, let's be honest. You just listen to the things that come out of their mouths. You realize that no sane people are like this. But what it's going to come down to is they are going to silence every person. Look, this is what they're going to do. They're going to label you the enemy. It's not about unity anymore. It's about being complying. Comply, agree with us, and you're safe. If you don't, we're coming after you. That's totalitarian. I don't care what side of the fence you're on, whether you're fascist or you're communist. It doesn't matter. You agree with us, or you're the enemy, and we're going to persecute you. And that's what's coming. If you don't believe me, pay attention what that goofy AOC says. Pay attention. She's the one to really watch, because that's the direction the country's going. Watch her. Watch the things that come out of her mouth, because that's where they want to pull the country. So it's a real simple thing. Are you gonna comply? I want to tell you right now, I'm not complying to any of those nutcases. If I have to shed my blood, because I got nothing to lose. At my age, I got nothing to lose. I don't have a family to protect. I don't have anything to think of like that. I've got nothing to lose. But it comes down to it where I got to shed my blood for my beliefs. You're damn straight. Because I got nothing to lose from it. But it's coming. And you all better start to think about this, because it is coming. Because it's going to get worse. Now, I was hoping that Trump would get 8 years in, because he could kind of put something in place so a generation will come up and say, these guys, their policies work. They didn't want that. They got to keep... All Biden really is Obama again. And I lived through that nightmare economy that he thinks was so great. He didn't do anything for 8 years. I watched the economy explode under Trump. I see it every day. And I'm in a shithole state. I'm in Illinois. The shithole of the shitholes. The corrupt place, the world center of corrupt politics is Illinois. It's where Barack Obama learned his trade. Chicago politics. You want to learn how to really play like a thief and some dirty scumbag? Get into Chicago politics, because that's where it's really at. And people are just too damn stupid. Look, I am not... Boy, I will never put faith in humanity, because humanity will always fail. I don't trust people. I never will trust people, because people will always choose the wrong thing. Our entire system of government is set up under one circumstance, to try to prevent a consolidation of power. And watch what the liberals are trying to do in our government. They're trying to consolidate power. They want one-party rule. So because they want to scare you in thinking the world's coming to an end because the climate is changing. They want to scare you into compliance. You need to remember, any type of thing that they're going to do with climate change in this nation, they're going to straddle only Western nations, meaning Western Europe and the United States. The rest of the world can do what they want. The Chinese can overfish the oceans. The Chinese can pollute as much as they want. They can do whatever the hell they want, and they will. Because they aren't stupid enough to enter into some kind of stupid binding contract. I got to give them that. Instead, we have leftists that are too damn brain dead to figure out that the rest of the world, there's almost 2 billion people in China, almost 2 billion people in India. Do you think they're going to curb their pollution emissions? Do you really think so? When they're struggling to even feed their people or keep their people above poverty level? And their poverty level is always going to stay the same, folks. It's never going to change. You watch what happens. You watch what happens when leftists get control of this nation. Because there is not going to be any unity. Because there is going to be, the other side's been saying resist, resist, resist for 4 years, right? Now they're saying unity, unity, unity. It's not unity. It's comply, comply, comply. Anybody with a half a brain understands this. If you think the rest of us that you've been calling racist for the past 4 years is going to comply to your nonsense, you have your head up your ass. It's going to be anything but. Till next time.